Hello, I'm Mike Gapes. I'm the Labour Member of Parliament for Ilford South. I'm completely against the death penalty, and I believe that all countries should abolish the death penalty. Many countries, including our country, have done, and I hope that India will also abolish the death penalty. I will hope to attend. Obviously, I don't yet know the parliamentary business that day, and we are obliged to be in the votes if there are any, and other matters. But I will do my best to attend. I think it's important that the international community press for the abolition of the death penalty and also support the International Criminal Court. And for that reason, that's the reason why I supported the early day motion, and I hope that there will be a good attendance at the meeting. I'm a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and each year we publish an annual report on human rights, and we look at a number of issues internationally, many different countries, and one of them obviously is a question of abolition of the death penalty, which we have already discussed.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Well, my name is John Hemming. I'm the Liberal Democrat Member of Parliament for Birmingham Yardley, and I do wish to see human rights throughout the world. I would like to see the death penalty abolished in India. I think there are issues with human rights in England. At times Indians suffer from human rights abuses in England, as has been raised recently in India by retired Chief Justices. But it is important that everybody is treated equally, regardless of their race, religion. And that applies in India, that applies in England, it applies in Norway, wherever it may be. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Yeah, my name is David Ward. I'm a Member of Parliament for Bradford East, and I've been represented, or representations have come to me on this issue from literally hundreds of people within my constituency. I have never ever supported the death penalty. I think there is no evidence whatsoever that it acts as a deterrent, and also, of course, there have been so many incidents in the past where there have been wrongful convictions, and innocent men and indeed women have been in effect sentenced to death by the state. I'm opposed to that, and I will fight this with every breath in my body.
Okay, my name is John MacDonald. I'm the Member of Parliament for Hayes and Harlington. I'm also one of the founders of the all-party parliamentary group on the Punjabi community in Britain. We've been campaigning for a number of years on human rights issues, raising human rights issues on behalf of the Punjabi community in this country, and we've been raising those issues in Parliament. Over this last year, many MPs that I've been speaking to from all political parties have been raising the issue in Parliament and with the government about our concerns about the Indian government's attitude towards the death penalty and human rights generally. In the summer, we had a short debate where we highlighted a number of cases where people had been on death row in India for many years, and we were fearful that the Indian government was reintroducing the implementation of the death penalty. So as a matter of urgency, we lobbied the UK government to raise these issues with the Indian government, and that was done successfully. And we hope part of our pressure by mobilising our own community and in Parliament has been helpful in ensuring that there have been no further hangings of any of the prisoners that are from the Punjab, from the Sikh community, who've been unfortunately on death row for so long. We've been campaigning now to say to India, as friends and as well as a country that has supported India throughout over the recent decades, we've been asking for them to join us in signing up to the international conventions with withdrawing the death penalty. India is one of the few countries now that still has the death penalty. We feel it needs to come into the modern world, into the 21st century, and abolish the death penalty altogether. We've also raised other human rights abuses that have hung over for the last 2 decades, where people have not been prosecuted because of the atrocities that took place in the 1980s. And we've also raised the issue about the prosecutions and the deaths in prisons, and also deaths in police cells. Again, high numbers of people have been abused and lost their lives, unfortunately. And we've been raising that with the Indian government and also with the UK government to put that back on the agenda. Overall, we wouldn't have been able to do this work if it wasn't for the Kesri Lehar campaign, because what that's done is mobilised hundreds of thousands of people. petitioning, which we'll be presenting petitions to Parliament on a regular basis on behalf of the campaign now, helping us raise issues with ministers and raise consciousness amongst the wider community. We couldn't have done our work in Parliament without that support. This campaign is going from strength to strength. I think we'll be victorious in the end of the day of abolishing the death penalty in India, and I also think it will help in exposing some of the human rights abuses. This is a people's campaign. It's been incredibly successful, mobilising large numbers, and we need to maintain the momentum, and I'm sure people will. Thank you.
I'm Seema Malhotra. I'm the Labour Member of Parliament for Feltham and Heston. I'm delighted to lend my ongoing support for the Kesri Lehar campaign that is based in my constituency. The message that we need to end the death penalty in India and in other countries is an absolutely vital one to reach our governments across the world. I have supported recently also the all-party parliamentary group campaign on the abolition of the death penalty, who have written to the Indian government to express their view, signed this letter, signed by many MPs and members of the House of Lords. I think it's vital that this message continues, that the campaign continues, and that the petition is recognised at the very highest level, and that we send a strong message to all countries across the world that we support the abolition of the death penalty. We support the fight for justice, but that does not require that the state kills people in order to show who is right and who is wrong.
My name is Kate Hoey. I'm the Member of Parliament for Vauxhall in London, and I wanted to support the campaign for human rights in India, and particularly the end to the death penalty. India is a wonderful country, renowned all over the world, and it is very important that in such a country human rights are cherished, and human rights means that people should not be dying in prison, and we should be getting rid of the death penalty. So I support the campaign to try and get the Indian government to actually recognise that this is something that in a democracy we need to change. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Kelvin Hopkins. I'm the Labour Member of Parliament for Luton North, and I may say I have many Indians in my constituency as well, so India is close to me, and I want to see India come into the modern world with Europe and abolish the death penalty. The fact is that death penalty is barbarous, and mistakes are made, and it's unacceptable that a society that believes in human rights has the death penalty. So I hope very much that India will abolish the death penalty very soon.
I'm Linda Reardon, the MP for Halifax, and I work closely with the Sikh community in Halifax, and in fact on Monday this week I was with Mr. Kelleher, who's constantly raising the issues of India, human rights, and wanting the abolition, quite rightly, of the death penalty in the 21st century. This shouldn't be allowed. I'm learning more about it from the Sikh community every day, and intend to raise this issue in Parliament many times with other MPs. I've signed the EDM that John MacDonald, the MP for Hayes and Harlington, has sponsored, and we'll be attending your meeting on the 10th of December. Thank you.
My name is Paul Flynn. I represent Newport in Wales, and we're proud in Newport that since 1945 we've never had a member of Parliament who was in favour of the death penalty. There were only about 6 brave MPs in 45 who opposed the death penalty, and this was an unfashionable view then, but over the years it's become a huge majority, and it would never be possible for any government to change now and bring the death penalty back. There were fears that there'd be an increase in murders and other serious crime if the death penalty was abolished. It was abolished, and that increase hasn't taken place. And we know this is the civilized way forward, because if we sentence someone to death, we don't know what we're sentencing them to. Is it a life of oblivion? Is it paradise? Is it hell? And in Britain we've had terrible occasions where we've sentenced people to death who've subsequently found to be innocent, and there's nothing you can do to correct that now. And where mistakes have taken place recently, where we found that people have been sentenced who would have been sentenced to death in previous years, it's now possible to say sorry to them, to apologise and to compensate them for mistakes. And as human beings, we make mistakes. And to take away someone's life is a dreadful mistake for which nothing can be done to correct it. So I believe it's the way forward for civilizations throughout the globe is to abolish the death penalty forever.
My name is Michael Meacher. I'm the Member of Parliament for Oldham in England. I was a former Minister for the Environment in the Blair government. I'm a very strong supporter of human rights, not only in this country but across the world. I strongly support the objectives of Kesri Lehar. I believe that this is the way the civilized world is going. I think there are very good reasons for it. I have always been opposed to the death penalty, partly because we know in this country and in other countries we discover after executing someone that actually they were innocent, and that is completely unacceptable. And secondly, we're all opposed, of course, to murder and killing, but there is no evidence that if you have the death penalty, unfortunately, the rate of killing and murder is no less in countries where you kill people as a result. So I'm opposed to capital punishment very strongly, but I think the whole issue of human rights is the most important principle across the world. We all have very different societies, but the one thing that unites us is we're all human beings, and there are fundamental human rights that need to be respected everywhere. And India is a very, very important country. It's going to be one of the world leaders. I think perhaps it is now, but it's certainly going to be in future. And we look to India to show the highest standards. And one of those must be respect for human rights. Not just having someone in court and sentencing them to death, but extrajudicial killings by police, by militias, by vigilantes is totally unacceptable in any civilized society. So for all of those reasons, all power to your elbow. You have enormous support across the world. You have 118,000 signatures in this country in support. I hope we are soon going to get a debate in the British Parliament to show our support. And we look to you to join us as one of the civilized countries which abolishes the death penalty. Thank you very much.